The email arrived at 11:23 p.m. on a Thursday, sent to our entire family group chat. From Travis Nakamura. Subject: Update business expansion success. Just wanted everyone to know the emergency capital injection is already paying off. Already processed $800,000 in profits from the Singapore contracts. Rebecca's surgery money is completely safe and will be returned with 15% interest by end of quarter. Sarah was worried for nothing. This is how real business works. I read it 3 times sitting in my daughter's hospital room while she slept. Rebecca, age 7, recovering from her second reconstructive surgery. The surgeries that were supposed to be funded by the medical trust I'd spent 9 years building. The medical trust my brother had emptied 6 weeks ago. My phone buzzed. Mom in the family chat. See Sarah? I told you Travis knows what he's doing. He's always been so good with money. You worry too much. Another message from my sister Jenny. This is amazing. Travis, can you give me investment advice? I have some savings. I stared at the screen, hands shaking. Travis had taken $847,000 from Rebecca's medical fund, a trust account I'd set up when she was born, funded by my salary as a data analyst, my late husband's life insurance, and contributions from friends during our fundraising campaign. Money designated for Rebecca's ongoing medical care. She had a rare craniofacial condition requiring multiple surgeries over her childhood. 6 weeks ago, Travis had called me at 2 a.m. crying. His tech startup was failing. He needed bridge capital, or he'd lose everything. Just $200,000. 2 weeks maximum. He'd pay it back with interest. I'd said no. I'd said it clearly. Rebecca's medical fund was untouchable. 2 days later, I'd received a notification from Wells Fargo. Large withdrawal processed. Account balance, $0. Travis had been a co-signer on the account. I'd added him 5 years ago when I had surgery myself and needed someone who could access funds for Rebecca's care if I was incapacitated. I trusted him. He'd forged authorization documents claiming I'd approved an $847,000 medical equipment loan to his company. Now he was sending family emails about $800,000 in profits. I opened my laptop and logged into Wells Fargo. The account balance was still 0. No deposits. No returned funds with interest. Just a notification I'd missed earlier. Your account has been flagged for review by our fraud investigation department. A representative will contact you within 48 hours. I took a screenshot of Travis's email and saved it. Then I called the number on the fraud notification. The Wells Fargo investigator called back at 9:47 a.m. Friday. Ms. Nakamura? This is Detective Yolanda Martinez with Wells Fargo's Financial Crimes Unit. We need to discuss transactions on account ending in 4729. My daughter's medical fund. Yes. We've identified suspicious activity. The $847,000 withdrawal 6 weeks ago was flagged by our automated fraud detection system, but the authorization documents appeared legitimate, so it processed. However, subsequent activity on the receiving account has triggered federal reporting requirements. My stomach dropped. What kind of activity? The funds were transferred to a business account registered to Novatech Solutions, owned by Travis Nakamura. Within 72 hours, $740,000 was wire transferred to accounts in Singapore, Macau, and the Cayman Islands. Our system identified the receiving accounts as known gambling and money laundering networks. Gambling. Online gambling platforms mostly. High-stakes poker, sports betting, cryptocurrency speculation. The pattern is consistent with gambling addiction and possible money laundering. We're required to report transactions over $10,000 to FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. This case exceeded that threshold significantly. I closed my eyes. What happens now? We've referred the case to the FBI. An agent from their financial fraud division will contact you. Additionally, we've frozen the Novatech Solutions account pending investigation. There's currently $14,000 remaining. $14,000 out of $847,000. Ms. Nakamura, I need to ask, did you authorize this withdrawal? No. My brother forged the authorization. We'll need documentation of that. The FBI will handle the criminal investigation, but for our internal review, Can you send us any communications that establish you didn't approve the transfer? I have text messages where I explicitly told him he couldn't access the account. I have emails where he begged for money and I refused. My voice cracked. I have 9 years of deposit records showing I built that fund for my daughter's medical care. Send everything to the email I'm providing. And Ms. Nakamura? I'm sorry. I have a daughter too. I can't imagine. She didn't finish. The ghost ledger. What Travis cost. I'd started keeping records in 2019 when Travis first asked me for money. Financial costs. Startup investment in Travis's first company, 2019 $15,000. Company dissolved in 4 months. Never repaid. You'll get equity when we're acquired, Sarah. That's how startups work. Emergency loan for Travis's rent, 2020, $8,000. He'd been evicted twice that year. I paid because Mom said, he's your brother. Family helps. Never repaid. Bridge capital for Travis's second startup, 2021, $22,000. This company lasted 7 months. When I asked about repayment, he said, I'm basically broke. You want to push your own brother into bankruptcy. Investment opportunity in cryptocurrency, 2022. Travis convinced me to give him $18,000 to manage in crypto trading. Lost it all in 3 weeks. Market volatility, Sarah. Not my fault. Co-signed apartment lease, 2023. $31,000 when Travis stopped paying rent and disappeared. I paid because my credit was on the line. Mom said, he's going through a tough time. Don't be difficult. Total documented before the medical fund theft. $94,000. Never repaid. Always rationalized. Emotional costs. Every family gathering 2019 to 2024. Travis is so entrepreneurial. Sarah, why can't you be more supportive? When David died 2020, and I was handling his life insurance, Travis asked me to invest $50,000 in his startup. At David's funeral. Rebecca's diagnosis, 2018. Travis's response was, that's rough. Hey, can I borrow your car? Mine's in the shop. My promotion to senior data analyst, 2021. Mom said, that's nice. When Travis announced his startup, she threw a party. The pattern. Gambling addiction. Narcissistic personality traits. Financial exploitation of family. Pathological lying. My therapist had been direct. Your brother has a gambling problem. The failed startups are probably covers for gambling debts. The investments are feeding his addiction. And he's using family guilt to exploit you. How do I stop it? You set boundaries. You say no. You don't give him access to any money. I'd done that. I'd said no to the $200,000 request. So he'd stolen $847,000 instead. The realization. I was 41 years old. A widow. A single mother to a medically complex child. I'd spent 9 years carefully building a fund to ensure Rebecca's care. I'd worked 60-hour weeks. I'd skipped vacations. I'd driven a 15-year-old car. Travis had gambled it away in 6 weeks. And my family was praising his business sense. The FBI called on Monday. Ms. Nakamura, this is Special Agent Marcus Chin, FBI Financial Crimes Division. I'm investigating the unauthorized transfer from your Wells Fargo account. Detective Martinez said you were taking the case. We are. Wire fraud across international borders is a federal crime. The transfers to gambling platforms in Macau and Singapore add money laundering concerns. Additionally, your brother's use of forged documents to access funds designated for a minor's medical care elevates this significantly. What can you do? We've frozen all accounts connected to Travis Nakamura and Novatech Solutions. We're working with international partners to trace the gambling transactions. We've issued a warrant for his arrest. And we're building a case for wire fraud, bank fraud, and exploitation of a vulnerable person. Rebecca. Your daughter's medical condition and the specific nature of the trust fund strengthen the case. This wasn't just financial fraud. It was theft from a disabled minor's medical fund. Federal prosecutors take that very seriously. How much can you recover? Silence. Ms. Nakamura, I'll be honest. Of the $847,000, we've located approximately $14,000 in frozen accounts. The rest was gambled and lost. We can pursue asset forfeiture, but your brother appears to have no significant assets. The chances of recovering more than 10% are low. I felt like I'd been punched. However, Agent Chin continued, your brother is facing federal charges with mandatory minimum sentencing. Wire fraud carries up to 20 years. Each false document used adds additional counts. If he cooperates and provides information about the gambling networks, he might negotiate a plea. But he's looking at significant prison time. Good. Ms. Nakamura, I need you to document everything. Every request he made for money, every conversation, every text message. Particularly anything showing you explicitly denied authorization for the withdrawal. I have everything. 9 years of documentation. Send it all. And please be prepared. This will likely go to trial. Your family may be called to testify. My family thinks he's a business genius. They won't after we present the evidence. Travis was arrested on a Wednesday at Mom's house, where he'd been staying since relocating for business opportunities. FBI agents executed the warrant at 6:42 a.m. By 7:15 a.m., my phone was exploding with messages. Mom, the FBI arrested Travis. They're saying horrible things. You need to call them and explain this is a misunderstanding. Jenny, Sarah, what did you do? Travis said you gave him permission to borrow the money. My Aunt Linda, family doesn't call the FBI on family. This is unforgivable. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I sent a message to the family group chat, the same one where Travis had bragged about his $800,000 in profits. Travis stole $847,000 from Rebecca's medical fund. He forged authorization documents. He gambled the money away on online platforms in Macau and Singapore. Wells Fargo's fraud department contacted the FBI. He's been arrested for wire fraud, bank fraud, and theft from a minor's medical fund. Rebecca needs another surgery in 4 months. The surgery costs $180,000. We have $14,000. Travis didn't make $800,000 in profits. He lost $833,000 gambling. Anyone who wants to donate to Rebecca's verified medical GoFundMe can find it in my bio. Anyone who wants to defend Travis can do so in court. I attached screenshots. The Wells Fargo fraud report, my texts explicitly denying Travis permission, his begging messages from 6 weeks ago, and the FBI case number. Then I muted the family chat. The prosecution built their case over 4 months. They found 17 forged authorization documents, each one a separate count of fraud. Wire transfers to 11 different gambling platforms across 5 countries. $680,000 lost in high-stakes online poker over 12 days. $95,000 lost in sports betting over 3 weeks. $44,000 lost in cryptocurrency speculation. Text messages from Travis to gambling associates. Got my hands on some capital. Time to win big. But the most damning evidence came from Travis's own emails. The prosecutor read them in court. Sarah will never know. She's too busy with the kid to check accounts carefully. By the time she notices, I'll have won it all back plus extra. The medical fund is just sitting there. Rebecca's next surgery isn't for months. I'll replace it before anyone checks. My sister is paranoid and controlling. This money should have been mine anyway. I'm the one with business vision. Mom and Jenny sat in the gallery, faces pale. The prosecutor addressed the judge. Your Honor, the defendant stole $847,000 from his niece's medical fund. Money designated for a 7-year-old child with a serious medical condition. He forged documents, lied to banks, and gambled the funds across international borders. He showed no remorse, no plans for repayment, and actively misled his family about his activities. Travis's public defender argued for leniency. Your Honor, my client has a gambling addiction. He needs treatment, not incarceration. Judge Sandra Morrison was unmoved. Mr. Nakamura, addiction may explain your behavior, but it doesn't excuse it. You didn't steal from a casino or a bank. You stole from your 7-year-old niece's medical fund. You exploited your sister's trust. You forged legal documents. And you gambled away money that was meant to pay for a child's surgery. She sentenced him to 12 years in federal prison. No parole eligibility for 8 years. Mom sobbed in the gallery. I felt nothing but tired. 6 months later, I sat in Rebecca's hospital room while she recovered from her third surgery. The GoFundMe had raised $240,000. My employer had provided additional medical coverage. The hospital had worked out a payment plan for the remainder. Rebecca was okay. The surgery was successful. Agent Chin had recovered $47,000 through asset forfeiture. Travis's car, his electronics, and his seized bank accounts. It was better than nothing. My phone buzzed. Mom's name appeared. I'd been answering her calls recently. Short conversations. Painful ones. Sarah? How's Rebecca? Surgery went well. She's sleeping. That's good. I'm glad. Pause. I talked to Travis's lawyer. He's asking the family to write letters for his appeal. No. Sarah, he's your brother. He stole from Rebecca. From a 7-year-old with a medical condition. I won't write a letter supporting him. Silence. I was wrong, Mom said quietly. About Travis. About you. I thought you were being paranoid when you tracked his spending. I thought you were being selfish when you wouldn't give him money. I told you to be more supportive. Yes. You were protecting Rebecca. And I told you that you were wrong. Her voice cracked. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm so sorry. I looked at Rebecca, sleeping peacefully, bandages covering the surgical site that would heal in time. Mom, Travis has a gambling addiction. He's had it for years. Every failed startup was gambling debts. Every investment opportunity was feeding his addiction. And I enabled it by giving him money, and you enabled it by pressuring me to give him money. I didn't know. We should have known. The signs were everywhere. But it was easier to believe his lies than to face the truth. What do we do now? We support Rebecca. We rebuild her medical fund. And we let Travis face the consequences of his choices. He's in prison. He stole from a child, Mom. His own niece. He deserves to be in prison. Another long silence. You're right, she said finally. You've always been right. I just didn't want to see it. We talked for another 10 minutes. Not a reconciliation exactly, but a beginning. After we hung up, I opened my laptop and updated Rebecca's medical funds spreadsheet. $287,000 current balance. Her next surgery in 2 years would cost approximately $165,000. He'd make it work. Travis would serve his 12 years. By the time he got out, Rebecca would be 19. She'd have had all her planned surgeries. She'd be thriving. And Travis would still be paying restitution, $100 per month from his prison wages for the rest of his life. At that rate, he'd repay the stolen funds in approximately 7,083 years. But it wasn't about the money anymore. It was about justice. About protecting Rebecca. About refusing to enable someone who'd proven they'd sacrifice anything, including a child's medical care, for their addiction. Rebecca stirred in her hospital bed. Her eyes opened slowly. Hi, Mama. Hi, sweetheart. How do you feel? Hey. A little sleepy. That's normal. You did great today. She smiled and drifted back to sleep. I watched her breathe, steady and peaceful, and thought about the email Travis had sent 6 months ago. Rebecca's surgery money is completely safe. He'd been wrong about everything else. But in the end he was wrong about that too. Rebecca's surgery money wasn't safe because of him. It was safe in spite of him.